Hey, welcome everybody to today's class. We're looking at advanced phrasal verbs and idioms again. I'm taking this from a book by Oxford University Press called Advanced Idioms and Phrasal Verbs. It's a white book. If you put it into Google or Amazon, I'm sure you'll find it. If you do want a book on phrasal verbs, I've got a book on phrasal verbs. You can buy this from Amazon. £20 for black and white or £35 for colour. But if you would prefer to buy the PDF version, I'm pleased to say that the PDF is available with hyperlinks, so you can go straight to the answers, and you can get that on my website for £20 and it's colour. And that's skype-lessons.com, or just click on one of the links below the video or on buy my ebook, that kind of thing. So let's get started on these idioms and phrasal verbs. So to be under the weather means to be sick, to feel ill in some kind of way. It's not specific, it could be any kind of sickness, but this one means to be sick. And to be off colour or to feel off colour also mean to be sick. Okay, so that's all it means. Both of these mean to feel sick, and to feel like death warmed up means to feel very sick. As it sounds like you're very sick if you feel like death warmed up. So you feel very sick if you feel like death warmed up. If you have a splitting headache, this is a good collocation. We often call a headache a splitting headache if it's really intense and it's relentless. It keeps on going. It doesn't stop. Then we'd call it a splitting headache. You can also say a migraine, but this collocates really well, a splitting headache, we say. Now, if you throw up, or in more slangy kind of English, it's yak up or barf up, but throw up is not slang. I mean, phrasal verbs are not slang. They're regular everyday words that we use all the time in English. And all three of these mean vomit. They mean to bring up food, and even bring up you can say for vomit, to bring up food, okay? So throw up, yak up, barf up, they all mean vomit. If you keel over, then you clutch your chest and you bend over at the same time. Please don't forget bend over as well. You bend over when you keel over, usually clutching your chest. So you usually keel over or double over if you have a really intense, excruciating pain in your chest or in your stomach maybe, but usually it's chest. So if you're having a heart attack, you probably will keel over or double up in pain. So double up is actually used in exactly the same way as these two. And if you follow this channel often, you'll have seen a lot of these words before, especially the phrasal verbs. Now, if you pass out, you lose consciousness, or faint is another word for pass out, faint. But we very often use the phrasal verb, very often. So if a person passes out, they're no longer awake and they're no longer conscious. And blackout is exactly the same, or more or less exactly the same. If somebody knocks you out, maybe they punch you and they knock you out and you lose consciousness. So this one's related to pass out and blackout. But you can also say the doctor gave him a general anaesthetic, and that general anaesthetic knocked him out. It made him lose consciousness. Yeah, that's what anaesthetics do. They make us pass out. So this is quite useful for anaesthetics. The anaesthetic will knock you out. And hopefully a few hours later, somebody will bring you round. Now this means that somebody helps you to wake up, or something. So maybe somebody will bring you round with smelling salts or something like that, with the smell of something very strong. But yeah, so something or someone can bring you round or bring you to. That's also possible. Bring somebody to, it means wake them up after being unconscious. And if you want an intransitive form, use come, because you can say the patient came round a few hours later, or the patient came to a few hours later, and they're both possible. So try to remember all of these together, because they're so connected, and they're all useful in the same situations. And by the way, most of this will be health, and this is cars. Okay, if the anaesthetic wears off after a few hours, that means it stops working. Drugs can wear off, alcohol can wear off, pharmaceuticals can wear off. Anything that has an effect on the body, that stops having an effect on the body, wears off. So any kind of chemical that causes a chemical change in the body, it will wear off after a few hours. So yeah, you might say I was experiencing terrible side effects after those tablets, but after a few minutes the terrible side effects wore off, and it means they stopped working. You know, the effect of the drug stopped working, of the tablet. Okay, if you come down with flu, you get flu. And if you go down with flu, you get flu. So good phrasal verbs for when you pick up a nasty virus or disease. And you can use come down with, go down with. You can also call a virus a nasty bug. Okay? So you can come down with a nasty bug, but you can also pick up a nasty bug. So that's very, very similar. We use pick up as well for pick up infections, just like you can pick up a language. You can also pick up an infection. And so we call infections nasty bugs sometimes, and you can say a nasty bug is going round. That just means that lots of people are catching this nasty bug, and so the nasty bug is obviously contagious. Contagious just means it can pass from one person to another. And of course, flu is highly contagious. It passes from one person to another. Now, it might take you a few days to get over a nasty bug, so that just means to get better, to recover. And a good idiom is to say I am on the mend. Yeah, so I hurt my foot about 3 or 4 weeks ago when I was playing football. I kicked another player right on his foot, and we both struck each other's feet at full power, and it really hurt. But I'm pleased to say that now my foot is on the mend. I don't find it quite as hard to walk. And so you can say I have pulled through, or I have come through. But these two, they're usually used when somebody is really injured or really hurt or really sick. So do save these two for the extreme situations. You know, they sound more like survive. If you say he pulled through, it sounds like, well, the doctors thought that he wasn't going to get better, that he wasn't going to get over his terrible condition, but in the end, he pulled through. So use these ones for when somebody's really terrible and they get better, but use get over for ordinary nasty bugs. Or be on the mend. You know, I think you can use that in any situation. And it just means to get better. If some